Yo, welcome back to another episode with Tag BAR0N. This is Fiasco. I'm here tonight with the gang, but we've got a guest. And I don't know, Bonsai, have you been on the show before? I don't
No,
think
I've
you have.
never
I've been
never
I've
been
been
on the
vac-
show before.
I've been gone, so like
Uh,
So everybody,
welcome back. Welcome to you too.
oh yeah, yeah. Hey, Bonsai, while we got you here, why don't you just like run through like a short intro or whatever, and let the people know who you are if they don't already.
I go by Bonsai, and that's right now I'm just kind of been taking a huge part in the Wild Rift community. Um, I started getting into the esports scene about a year and a half ago, and then I've just kind of been steady developing teams and working with them. So right now I'm coaching and managing NXGL's pro team that they're trying to develop. So we've been competing the last couple months, and it's just kind of like what I do. It's my part-time job. I like it, and I finally started getting paid for it this year. So
That's
that's really
awesome.
cool.
You love to hear that,
Seriously.
right?
Yeah, it's a great time because I think honestly this is the greatest game that was ever made. So I really enjoy it.
I mean, you take like an already like super successful PC game, which I enjoyed playing, and you make it faster and you make it more accessible, and you just put it on a tablet. I'm in.
Yeah, yeah, it's been really fun. So yeah, that's pretty much what I do when it comes to Wild Rift.
What's your
That's awesome.
experience with the PC version of the game? Did you play it all beforehand?
I played for like 3 or 4 years when I was like 18,
Okay.
and I think it was just like a fun game to play. I was a Heimerdinger main.
Okay. All
Nice,
right.
nice.
Yeah,
The Heimer.
so
Throwing down those turrets.
I'm really looking forward to the day they potentially bring him into Wild Rift.
Oh my gosh.
Because I think he'd break the game, honestly.
Yes, yes.
But yeah, I played for a couple of years, but I don't think I was like mentally ready to accept how complicated this game was
Seriously.
back then.
I think that's something we can all relate to with first getting in
Oh yeah.
at the beginning. Was it your first MOBA, or did you have like any other experience with any
That
kind of
was
games
my
like
first
this?
MOBA.
Very cool.
No, that was my first MOBA. I played Paragon on
Yeah,
yeah.
Paragon. That's a
yeah,
throwback right
I don't even know
there.
what that is. Am I too?
it
Oh,
had potential. It had
it
potential.
did. I didn't like the skill system. I don't want to go on too big of a tangent. The
Yeah.
card thing was trash. The game was
I,
cool.
I
The
think
concept was
MOBAs are
fun.
just hard in NA. People don't
Yeah.
want to play MOBAs. They want to play
No.
shooters and RPGs.
Yeah.
hmm
So, but
Low
hopefully, I
skill
mean,
cap games is what you mean. I'm just, I'm just kidding.
I mean,
Games where
people
you don't
get
have
paid
to
for
think.
people get paid for Call of Duty.
They do.
Yeah.
They get
Yep.
paid so much.
Take
Yeah, I'm just
Halo,
kidding.
Call of Duty. Yeah, for sure. Well, how's everybody's week been going in game? I mean, it's been, I don't know. It's weird because we're approaching the end of a ranked season. I know it's kind of spelled like tough times for some people and joyous times for others as they hit peaks that they hadn't once before.
Oh yeah.
How's
Yeah.
Well,
how's it been going for you guys?
I'll be honest with you. Since my big loss streak last week that cut my dreams for GM short,
Yikes.
I haven't really played except for like 3 games last night. So I was like, nope, we're just gonna take a break for the week, wait for the season to reset, and it's actually been a really good break. We after the 3 games last night, it felt really good to get back into it. So I'm ready for the season reset now.
I'm a little bummed it's resetting. I've been steadily moving up through Masters. I'm fairly close to GM, but I like not close enough to feasibly hit it. I guess tonight. But
In
it's
the
been
20 hours you have left.
yeah, for real. It's just like I don't know. I just haven't had the time like matchups to like make sure I have like a pre-made or even just a few members. Like I've won a few solo in GM. It's just or not GM, sorry. Masters. I don't want to risk it as often, you know? Like if I feel like the timing is like decent or I have the day off, it's like maybe I will, but so I don't think GM's going to happen this time, but it's nice to be close and it's nice to like hold my own in Masters really well. So it's like, okay, this is the goal next season. even though the grind's going to be rough through all that again.
Yeah, the last couple days have been really rough. I don't know why. I think I pretty much like hit masters with like 7 LP, and then I was like, all right, I'm good. I'm just gonna like take a break now.
That's
And then
exactly what I did.
I didn't like grind as hard, and now I got all the way up to like 15 or 17 LP,
Ooh,
Dang.
real
and then
close.
I hit a 5-game loss streak, and um, I just I decided I was gonna stop duoing and trioing with people.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping maybe tonight I can just solo queue my way to. That
Oh my
sounds
gosh.
crazy. I'm fucking crazy.
That does sound
Do
crazy.
we need to
My
bleep that out
goodness.
for any of you guys you usually squad up
No.
with? Is that?
I think I should
I'm
just
just
go to
kidding.
sleep. I'm just gonna go to sleep now while I'm at it.
He's
Well,
like, I don't need to worry about anything else that could happen tomorrow. You got GM.
Yeah.
well, Fiasco, how was your rank season this week?
This was by far the most tough and just grueling season of ranked. I've never actually given anything to ranked at all in this season. I was like, all right, double reset, whatever. I'm gonna get into it. I can get through platinum easy. I can get through emerald easy. And so I get to emerald 2, and it was literally just like
Emerald's rough.
it was. I don't want to do it again. I mean, it was honestly like win a game, lose a game, win a game, get fortitude, lose your fortitude, lose a game. I mean, it was like I would be. I mean, I'm glad to have gotten diamond. It took a long time. I never thought. I thought to myself, oh, surely I can like push for masters this season at the beginning. But yeah, I mean, there were seriously. I cannot say this enough. I would be hard carrying a team, and I'd be like, I couldn't even back because if I did, they would just go die. I would be like, okay, they're like, just wait for me, right? I'm just like, hold up. And they're all like, run in there and die in a 4v5 when the person who has all of our golds buying his last item.
Every time.
Um,
That's when the majority of your teammates, that's the rank where everyone's playing for kills rather than objectives still. That's what Emerald is to me. That's all that anyone is doing is kills. Kills me.
Yeah,
Sucks.
it was brutal. And then I'd get the diamond players who were like super ego driven, and I'd be like, it's just diamond, man. I don't know. Like, no offense to anybody. But
No, I know.
I'm just like, bro, it's just diamond. I mean, I don't know why you think you're the best player around.
No, Fiasco. No one's gonna take offense. Everyone thinks they're great at this game, and it's the teammates that are the problem every time.
No,
so no one thinks
don't-
it's them
don't
when
group
they
me
hear
in.
that.
I made mistakes for sure. I never played absolutely perfectly, but I'm glad to have gotten to diamond, and hopefully next season I don't have to. There's a rung in the ladder that I don't have to deal with.
Yeah, there you go. All right, well, on to housekeeping right before we hit our topic. As always, we have our Reddit. Join the Discord, of course. That's where a lot of this stuff happens for our community. There is an EU guild and an SEA guild, which will have the tags in the show notes. The tag for the EU guild is atkbrn, and then the SEA guild's tag is BAR0N, all caps, but instead of an O, it's a 0. So just FYI. And as Fiasco said, we have to make it a point. Congrats on Diamond, man. I know it's been a
I
journey.
appreciate it.
I know it's
appreciate
been a
it.
journey. So,
Oh my
all
gosh.
Now, this week we've got a fairly large topic, and it's something that you do in game, whether or not you realize you do it or not. But this week's topic is how to read the map and how to make decisions based on the information you get. Which, let's be honest, like reading the map is kind of like something you have to work towards. It's not just like easy to do. But as you begin to make decisions, you begin to look at the map for information before you read decisions. At least that's what we hope that you're doing. But the reading the map really isn't that hard. There's some key things that you need to look for, and some key things that you need to look at the map before you do. And some of those decisions would be like back timings, like that's very important, like how the lane state is, if you've got a cannon wave coming, rotating, seeing, you know, where people are on the map before rotating, and are people pushed up, objectives, items people have. There's no reason at all to like guess on any of this stuff whenever you can just look at the map and literally just know. Like, there's no reason to guess whether or not dragon's up. You can literally just look at the map. There's no reason to guess whether or not someone's in mid lane whenever you can just look at the map and see that they're there. So
Yeah, and a lot of
I've
what we
gotten
say today. Sorry, go
oh,
for it.
no, you can't talk. No, it's fine.
Okay.
No,
I
you say what you need to.
I was just gonna say a lot of what we say here is gonna be helpful. Like you're gonna be able to like take these points and use them and keep them in memory. I will say a lot of I can't speak for you guys, but my personal growth with map watching and learning enemy movements, things like that, is experience. So if it doesn't click right away, that's okay. Like it's not meant to be. It's not an exact science because it's kind of an in the moment thing. Like what are you paying attention to? Where have you placed your wards? What champs benefit from what types of locations? Where do they usually path in the jungle? Things like that. So you'll figure that out as you go. So don't take this as something that you need to stick to so strictly, but these are points that will help you learn how to watch the map. I think essentially is what we're going for here.
What I think is interesting, I don't know how accessible it is, but I know Rygar put together some word placements, like where good word placements are. And what's good about that is, I mean, now that we have pinks, you can basically expect a ward in certain places. There's optimal places to place your ward. I think we have that document on the Discord. It should be accessible. If not, we can find it and post it, whatever. But knowing where to place your ward and where wards are going to be, because vision's a huge thing. If you have no vision on the map, you're likely losing. But I was going to say, I've gotten so used to, even when I don't play jungle, which has been I think it's been less than 50 games this season. Even when I don't play jungle, I've gotten so used to pinging, just following the enemy jungler, pinging objective timers. It's just built into how I play the game now.
And it's so important.
And it used to be one of those things where it's like, I came from playing PC League a really long time ago, and I knew, this is something I had to look at. But you'd still find me like super engaged in a 1v1 in BAR0N lane, getting collapsed on, not looking at the map when I first started playing Wild Rift. So to Houston, to your point, obviously it's something that you build on. I think one of the solid rules is like check the map every like 3 seconds, or just make a habit to look at it. But obviously there's a lot to be seen, right there on the map.
Bonsai,
Right.
with your experience with where you're at in the game, like how would you rank because looking at the map's a skill, right? Like where would you rank that in importance of what a player needs to be able to consistently climb and perform well in games?
I think that would probably be like third.
Third, yeah.
Like I think it's like know your champion, know how to play the game, or know how to play your lane, and then learn how to play the map. Like that order. Like
no, that sounds like exactly right.
For me, it always starts like in draft, and then like knowing my champion, knowing my matchup. How am I gonna play the lane? Okay, cool. Okay, now how am I going to contribute to what everyone else on my team is picking? And this is just in like solo queue.
Yeah.
And then that could help you understand. Once you understand that, right? Once you understand your champions and then you understand your lane, then you can look at your champions that you have and go, okay, this is what I can do on the map with these champions because I know their matchups. I know what I can do in the lane to contribute to the map, or what I can't do. Also, vice versa. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, but super important. Like one of the most critical things in the game.
I will say that like the way that I learned to start reading the map is I started doing it whenever I was like I jungle, so like obviously I think the jungler has a lot more time to like look at the map than most because like they don't have an immediate lane opponent. But like whenever I would use my abilities on a camp and then while they're on cooldown, I'm just looking at the map. I'm panning the camera, I'm looking at the lanes, looking at what's happening and doing that stuff. But like you can kind of do the same thing with lanes. It's just like if you're waiting on the next wave, if you're doing something, just take a glance at the mini map. Just kind of look around and see what you can see. Look for maybe a blind spot that might be good to have a ward in, like because that's going to be huge. Is that's part of you can't see most of the mini map because it's covered by fog of war, right? And the way that you get rid of that fog of war is by placing a ward. So wards are huge in trying to gather information. But as far as learning the mini map, like using that downtime, just kind of look and just realize whenever you're not doing anything, just look around at the mini map and just kind of look at it is an easy way to get started in learning before just like making it a habit of checking it like almost like all the time. So
yeah. My big tip for people is always just like push and rotate, push and look. Like farm your lane and then stop what you're doing, look at the map, then go back to farming. Like you get a lot of information.
There's so much time. It takes you 6 seconds to back. In those 6 seconds, you can look at the map, look at the scoreboard, and do a bunch. Don't just sit there and watch your person's fancy little back animation. Nobody needs to see the fancy fireworks play when you could be checking the scoreboard. See who's got gold. See who's still on the map, where people are on the map. Because again, even though most people are ping deaf, some people even mute pings. Even if you're backing, you can still say, oh, I had a word there, I saw enemy jungler here. I can ping it, and that at least can tell your team, hey, careful on blue, careful on scuttle. You're going to get ganked right now. Bang, you got ganked. Those
More
are the
often
worst.
than not, it does feel like it's probably the case.
Exactly. So.
I spent good money on my season pass, so sometimes I just want to see my recall.
Yeah, no, exactly.
I feel that.
It took my $5. They're gonna let me enjoy it either way.
Yeah, the $10 pass is where it's at.
Yeah.
No, I did the math. I got 3 free skins.
Whoa.
Not free, but I got 3 skins for $10 if you do the premium pass.
Really?
Because you get the one that it gives you, right? Whatever it comes with. And then you get another skin for free in the pass itself when you buy the premium. And then typically you get enough energy or another chest. Now you get another chest for your lane specifically to get a skin. I just bought season pass the other day and I got 3 skins in like 12 hours.
Dang.
Dude. I
bought the premium pass this time too.
Dang,
By
you
mistake.
might have me on it. I might have to do it literally right now.
I have been telling people this for forever.
I thought the premium $10 one was just bonus levels. I thought it was like just pushing you down the lane further.
Bonus levels means bonus stuff.
Gotcha. Right. I thought it was just speeding progress.
I think it with the 3 skins or 2 skins, like that's the value, and then you get enough blue motes typically to get another champion. So.
Dang, that's actually crazy.
I need a blue mote store at this point, but I'm here for this actually because I think I hit level 50 like 2 weeks ago on the Wild Pass. I'm like well into getting I'm actually really close to being done in the Emporium. I don't even play that much, but you get so much energy off of the thing. I think I actually did get 3 skins also.
I'm buying it right now. Literally as we speak. I'm doing it. I don't even care.
He's invested. Give me them skins.
All right. Well, while he was doing that, I'll give you some things to look for on the mini map. Back to the topic. So
we're
some
not talking
things you can look. Well, we are now. things to look for on the minimap are champion locations, both your allies and your enemies' champions. Like this can be a huge asset to you no matter what. Like knowing where your allies are and basically like basing your decisions based on where they are. If you're a split pusher, obviously go away, find your own lane, split push, obviously. But then like if they're getting ready to group for an objective, like all that stuff is helpful information. Always look at the objective timers and the spawned objectives, so you kind of know what's up, know what's drawing people, because right, the like Baron and Dragons, they're always drawing people to them. So just being aware that they're up and is always helpful. If you're a jungler, make sure you know when jungle camps are up. If you're laners, you can actually place wards in the enemy's jungles, and knowing which jungle camps that the enemies have up is very helpful as well. If you place a ward on their blue and you see that their blue camps are down, you know that probably the jungler is not going to be on that side of the map for a little bit until those camps come back up, because they're going to be off farming what does have camps. So knowing what camps are up and down can be super helpful. You can also look at your own camps if you're a laner and just realize like the jungler doesn't have any farm on red side jungle, so duo lane is probably not going to be getting a gank anytime soon, because the jungler is going to be up in blue side getting their farm and doing what they need to do. Of course, lane states, look for lanes being pushed, lanes being sending and receiving waves. Make sure that the lanes are getting pushed. Champion gold leads and bounties, that can be huge. If you can see like a huge, like somebody's got like a 500 gold bounty and they're pushing a side lane, they're caught far out, that can be huge, just so looking for a chance to pick them off and get some extra gold for your team. And obviously that champion's probably going to be ahead, so make sure you keep an eye on how much gold people have, who to prioritize in team fights, and who to maybe even stay away from. Obviously items and champion, you can see the champion domination rune, is that the big one? Or no, keystone, right? Keystone rune.
Yeah.
You can see the big one on in the tab. I've been playing too much League tab on the scoreboard. You can go and you can see their domination or their keystone runes, so you know kind of like what if they've got lethal tempo or they've got conqueror or what they have, so you can kind of keep an eye and keep that in the back of your mind of how that's going to affect whenever you're going up against them. Obviously champion items, you can see that. You can also just kind of like, I put this on here, think about what the enemy knows. So like obviously this applies a little bit more to the jungler. I think this is like my jungle mind thinking. Like if you clear out, like if you know that there's no wards in your blue side or something like that, like the jungler doesn't know where you are, type of a deal, like that can be a huge advantage to you as well. Like, and that's whenever you start looking at the lanes for like where people are pushing and stuff like that. So just kind of keep that in your mind and think about what the enemy might know, like what information they might have. If there's no wards on Baron, if there's no wards on Dragon, they don't have any idea you're there. You know, that might be something to help you, sneak a dragon in or something like that. And then of course, just the general game state. In general, just like if you're losing, winning, kills, amount of towers, stuff like this. Do we have an inhibitor down? All that stuff just helps contribute to the knowledge that you have for the game and allowing you to make good quality decisions. And I know like that's a lot of information and a lot of stuff, and there are ways to kind of help you break that down. Is a big thing for me is just disregarding the information's that not pertinent to me at that time. So like even though I might collect it all, I'm not going to act on a lot of it. Like if I'm on red side, I'm not going to be caring as much that there's our solo laner just got killed in solo lane, or that solo lane is pushing hard into the enemy's turret, like that type of stuff. I'm just going to kind of gather it and disregard it. But all this is info that you can get by checking the scoreboard, looking at the mini map, and by placing wards. That's all stuff that you should be doing every game. And I know it's a lot, and it takes a lot of practice, as I'm sure I've been playing this game since it came out in NA. So like whatever it's been now, 2 years, a year and a half, something like that. Like yeah, it's been a while, and I'm still not super great at this. I'm still not super great at checking the map as much as I need to. I'll still get like literally just like, well, that came out of nowhere, and then I go back and watch the replay. It's like, yeah, you should have seen that. They walked right across the ward, or this happened, or whatever. It's just like it takes practice. It takes practice to be good at reading the map.
And I think a common pitfall people, I feel like I've seen this, and I can speak from personal experience. When you get better at it, when you start understanding, I think there is a pitfall of leaning on muscle memory based off of enemy champs, of where they will be on the map, and then kind of relying on that and not being actively extremely focused on where they are and like where they might be, things like that. It's like, oh, it's Lee Sin. He's probably going to be trying to gank my lane, so I'm going to hold back a little bit, and then maybe not paying quite as much attention to the map because most Lee Sins do X thing. You know what I mean? So it's like there are things. I mean, this is we're giving more of a beginner's thing intentionally here, but that being said, just as you get better at it, be careful because getting better at it doesn't mean you've mastered it, right? So you don't want to get too comfortable in any given thing you do in this game, let alone map reading and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think as you get into higher elo, especially from like a jungler's point of view, and this is what I was telling some of my guys before is, majority of the time they're going to be trying to do the exact same thing you're trying to do. So if you just think about it, like, what do you want to do on the map? Well, look, take that and mirror it. That jungler is doing the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Same thing on the bot side. So, and in lane, like, what's your mid laner trying to do? What are you trying to do? You're trying to push wave and rotate. What's he trying to do? The same thing. So, you know, if you're not having priority in lane and you're not pushed up, then you know they're gonna rotate. They're gonna do something because that's what you would do. So it's like
Right.
the information's all there. It's so simple sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get caught up trying to press buttons.
Exactly. It's so easy to get lost in the middle of some short, like, you know, engagement that's not even like doesn't even get you a kill.
It's
I was
wild
gonna
with how
say,
overwhelming this game is and how much there is to learn. Like, I think we all have the universal experience of being like, this is so much. Like, there's so much to learn here. And it's, I think, again, a universal experience. When you start getting it down, you're like, how did I not know this? How did I not know how to read the map? How did I not know how to itemize? It's so easy. It's wild how often I feel like that happens.
Once you pick it up, it becomes easier.
Yeah.
Last night had an Evelyn on my team. We were up against a team with an Alistair. They were up. It was obvious. We didn't see any of them. BAR0N was up. Where are they? They're on BAR0N. Evelyn is our only chance of getting this BAR0N. She's got to steal it. But what did they do? They put out control wards on the opposite side of the BAR0N pit so that they could see her coming. And the Alistair sat in a bush, waited for the Evelyn to walk into the pink, and instantly knocked her super far away. No chance. Absolutely no chance of stealing this. That's kind of lends itself to the conversation of what does enemy know and what do you know based on the map, right? We knew they're all at BAR0N. Evelyn knew it clearly, but again, like, they have a team. They knew that we had an Evelyn. They set out a pink. She walked right into it. I mean, like, literally. But so you kind of, the idea in this game is literally like, how can you, once it comes down to an equal skill level, it really is how do you outplay your current scenario, right? How are you going to play this to the best of your ability to make it favorable? To Bonsai's point, right? It's like, if you're mid lane, what is mid lane? It's a race to who can rotate. That's a lot of what the game becomes if you're not just like constantly in lane. If you're an assassin, it's kind of like, well, like, how quickly can I get to bot lane to get this double kill? Like, does this wave actually matter? And then if you're the opposing mid laner, it's like, oh, well, Zed's missing. I look down. Oh, snap. I'm not there. Damn, Zed just got a double kill. Zed's probably untouchable now.
Ping's missing after the double kill. Oh, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly. So it's one of those things that comes with experience, but obviously it's also one of those things that you just build and build, and as you think about it, if you're intentional about anything in this game, people can always improve on micro, but like macro is one of those things where it's like you're just intentional about doing it, and if you are, you will get better at it.
Yeah. I think a huge thing that I've been doing lately that, well, this maybe is a little more niche, especially if you're in solo queue, but like I've been trying to really look at what my teammates are carrying in terms of wards, because you can see it on the map. I think, oh my gosh, I'm blanking. You can see the enemies, right? Yeah, you can see what they're carrying.
Yeah.
I don't think nearly enough people take radar or whatever it's called. For like,
Yeah.
like I don't see my teammates take it virtually ever, so I always make a point to try to have it. And if
Do you jungle?
I did for a little bit starting
Yeah.
off. I play more mid than
Do you
anything.
even jungle, bro?
Yeah. No, I mean it's typically radar is best for like champion. I mean mid makes sense too if you swap it out when you don't have a ward, because it's like anybody that has potential to roam around the map, like radar's mid to late game is pretty standard.
Yeah. I just don't see people take it virtually ever. And then I've seen times where a whole enemy team has taken their radar, and I'm like, they definitely don't know that no one else has wards. Like they think 4 of them have radar. Like perfect. I love that.
Yeah, that's hilarious. I actually heard a PC pro say that at any point he thinks the team should have people should have 2 pinks up on the map. And obviously, like as you get into late game, right? If you're winning, you're clearing out enemy wards in their jungle. You're making them blind. If you're losing, you're trying to reclaim your own jungle. But in a neutral game state, yeah, I mean you need to be able to ward appropriately. It's great to have yellow wards. They're great wards. We've had them for a really long time. Pinks are great, but of course they're exploitable. But he basically was saying if you have 2 pinks up on the map, you can constantly, your team should be rotating your wards, saying like, oh yeah, like okay, we've got a pink out, I've got a pink, like the rest of my team should have like a combination of scanner and yellow, we need to get this stuff out. And it's really easy to just like run over and place your ward too. That's a pitfall. Don't place a ward someone's gonna clear, man.
Yeah, you gotta defend your wards that you place.
Have you guys been doing that kind of trick of taking like what do you play, Bonsai?
I'm a support main, so I take pink first.
Do you guys take advantage of because like we all know the spots for like probably like in your respective lanes where the standard one is put like almost every time? Do you just take a pink and like thanks for the ward, like I'm just gonna
I'll take it.
I mean it just depends. Like I know right now, like I know that there's always going to usually be a pink in the enemy blue side if I'm coming from red side. If I'm coming from blue side, then if I'm coming from blue side, I actually don't ward until I know that the enemy jungler is going to be pathing for scuttle. So I wait to drop ward until around like a minute 25 or sorry, whenever scuttle, like I think it was like 3.
Yeah,
was it a minute
it's 1:20.
I don't even know the exact
Yeah,
timestamp.
something like that. So yeah. But that's usually when I drop my first ward if I'm playing blue side, because then I know I can actually have it for the full duration that I need it. And typically, like I haven't popped scryers before that, so I can also defend and clear my wards at the same time. So
that's smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've actually been liking to take the pink to whenever we do the first dragon. Like I use red for ganking or the scanner for ganking, but then take a pink to dragon pit to basically clear wards and then watch and see if they put more down, because I always find that super annoying whenever I've got scanner going and then right after it ends they put a ward over the wall. It's like so I just usually take the pink and then place it on whatever side my side of the wall is and do it that way, so they don't have vision in the pit. Now around the pit they'll probably still have vision, but
my favorite is scanning a ward and then watching my team literally just run past it. Like, hey bro, like I'm melee. Could you just like shoot that ward for me?
Yeah.
Like, is that possible? It's like, Lux, you're standing literally right there.
Yeah,
I
I
love it.
have like a really bad habit, I think, of taking scanner even too early, just because I don't really trust a lot of teammates to usually take it, and then that also, like, if I take it late and we just have wards everywhere on our side of the map, like they've been really aggressively doing it, it drives me nuts. So I'm like, I'm taking it now, using it when I think it's appropriate, when I should, when they might be gearing up for a thing, like especially solo queue. Anything else, like I'll just play like anyone else, but solo queue is like scanner almost virtually from the get go, like every time. Drives me nuts.
Right. Yeah, and to be honest, like the scanners and the pink wards, like you use those to take away the enemy's vision, so like, they have less information about you whenever you're playing the game, right?
Right.
So like as you're going through this game, the less information, the more information you can have, and the less information that they can have, the better. Because like this whole game is kind of, it's very information heavy. Like obviously there's other aspects of it, but like information is key into making good decisions. And even though you have all the information and you're trying to think about all these things, sometimes it can still be hard to know what would be a good decision to make. And I really struggled with this pretty hard about just like getting the information, and then as a jungler just making a bad play, just making, and it's like sometimes I run all the way across the map trying to make something work, or and it's just like, even though sometimes some things do work out, it just, we don't get ahead because it just took too long, or the net income wasn't great, and it's just like a lot of things like that can be, it's very hard to do. But as I've kind of watched some people watch some coaching on YouTube or whatnot, a lot of people revert to a form of, or these three questions of like how people say like that they make decisions or whatever. So the questions are, is like, how likely is something going to succeed? So whatever play you're thinking about doing, how likely is it to succeed? Is it like, oh, I'm going to roam mid, like, oh, there's probably like a 50-50 shot that this is going to work. Maybe we get a kill, maybe we don't. If you're like a support roaming to mid. If you've asked yourself that question, is like, ask yourself, what are you going to get if you succeed? So if you roam up there and you have a successful roam, we get a kill, we clear, like what the best case scenario is, we clear the waves, we push it under tower. Like if it's late enough, we get the tower. If it's not that late, we get some plates, you know. But then also you need to ask yourself the question is, what am I going to lose if I fail? So like, am I going to be leaving my ADC down bot lane to get killed under tower? If we end up going here and the jungle ends up ganking us, are we going to end up both dying and then losing a whole bunch of stuff? Just like asking yourself kind of what the worst case scenario is, the best case scenario, and then just like kind of weighing the options, and just kind of, if something is way too risky, maybe it's better that you just take the safe route and stay in your lane and farm a little bit more until a better opportunity presents itself. I'm not sure if you guys have ever like heard these questions, or if these are like, if you guys kind of do this, but just like not this like specific question set. Like obviously, like you can't just sit there in lane and ask yourself these questions all the time. Like that's going to take
You gotta
way
pull
too
up the
long.
Starbucks checklist. I always have it on hand every game I play. I have it printed up next to me.
The Starbucks checklist. Starbucks sent this out. This is revision Z. Working down the list.
But like, you can't like do that, right? Because like that would just take way too long, just to like literally ask yourself all these questions and the thing. So instead of like asking yourself these questions, like have these questions in mind, but just like there's patterns to this game. So like Bonsai was saying, mid, you shove it out and you shove out the wave. It's like, okay, so what do we do here? We roam. We go to rotate. It's like that's just what you do. You don't have to ask yourself the question of, well, what am I going to do and how likely am I to succeed? You have time. Just push it out and rotate. It's just like, because if I go down to bot lane and I go to roam, if it doesn't end up working out, I just go back to mid and we farm another wave. and if we have time, we do it again. Like, there's just patterns to this game, and these questions kind of help make you realize what the patterns are, I guess. In jungle, it's very, like, I use these questions a lot whenever I go back and watch replays. That's what I do, is I like ask myself, well, this is the decision you made. What was the potential outcome of this? And was it even worth doing? And
This is how he refines the checklist.
yeah, it's a lot.
Watching yourself play is like one of the biggest ways to realize, oh, I'm
Yeah.
doing bad.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm trolling.
100%.
But like, I'm not sure if you guys have ever done if you guys have like something like this where you guys, and maybe you guys do have, not like, obviously, like, I like to break it down into questions like this, like, why is my thought process this way? But like, eventually these things just become habits, and maybe you guys have these type of habits. And like, obviously each of us plays a different lane, and we'll get to that eventually as well, just like some lane specific stuff. But like, just like some typical in things, like if such and such happens, now we go do this. Like if the jungler goes down, it's a good time to go look at taking the objective. And you can kind of ask yourself like these type of questions, is like, how likely are we to succeed? Well, now it's pretty high that if we're going to succeed because the jungler's down, now it's a 4v5, the enemy team doesn't have a smite, and like, obviously the success for that play is a lot higher. And like, what do we get if we succeed? Well, with a 4v5 on a team fight, if obviously if you're not like super far behind or something, like, more than likely a 4v5, you're going to usually pull out a team fight. You're going to pull out with some kills in the dragon. Wow, that's a pretty big win. Now, what if we lose? So like a 4v5, obviously, if they start pressuring you and start poking you down and stuff like that, more than likely your team's just going to peel back, and the dragon's going to reset, everyone's going to have to reset, and then you're going to have to 5v5 for the dragon. Like, that would be like kind of like the worst case scenario to 4v5, if the teams are even in that type of stuff. But like, and at that point you just have to kind of make the decision, okay, yeah, we need to go for dragon. The positives outweigh the like neutral aspect if we lose this. So
yeah, I just want to jump in too real quick and just say, like, sometimes the play isn't even offensive or aggressive. Like, maybe it isn't that you take the dragon because maybe you have been getting pressured, and maybe killing the enemy jungler just means like you have a chance to rest, right? Because they might not want to take the fight, and this might, like, you're kind of all there. Maybe you can press for a turret, or maybe you can just place vision. Maybe you can clear vision. It doesn't always have to mean you get the objective, but the idea is if you are in a situation where you have the advantage, especially like if the jungler is gone, you have a chance to like use that 4v5, that numbers advantage on the map, to do something. And sometimes it really is just as simple as getting that break to back, right? Like, okay, we no longer all have to show up to fight. This is going to give me time to push this wave, and we can buy this item, regroup, and maybe even out the gold if you were losing. So,
yep. Just kind of like an example that I was playing on my BAR0N lane account, and I actually made one of these plays where I had shoved my wave in, so I went ahead and backed, but my enemy laner had backed before I did, so it was coming back to lane. And instead of going back to my lane, I actually went mid because the enemy mid laner was kind of low, and I was like, well, if they overstay, I can kind of, make a play on them. And so I went mid, and I actually got the kill, and we shoved the wave in, but it ends up that this is pretty early game, so it ends up that the enemy jungler comes around and kind of defends the turret, so we can't really take plates or anything. So I went ahead and just made my way back up to top lane, where it turns out that the enemy Darius had already taken like a plate and a half. And I missed out on a whole bunch of waves up there. He had already shoved the waves under, so by the end I missed, I think, 2 or 2.5 waves of minions by the time I got back up. And even though everything in that play kind of like in my initial play, like the mid lane kill, I got the kill. We shoved the wave. Unfortunately, we didn't get plates. But even though I got the kill mid, like our team still didn't come out on top because of the bad position that I left my lane in. Like even though the play worked for me, it didn't work the best for my team. So like even though it was a good play, I don't really think it was, even though it was a play that I got lucky with. Um, I had to get basically very lucky just to go even. Like even if we just went even on that play, I got very lucky to go because like imagine if the mid laner would have got away, we wouldn't have got anything. You know, they would have just stayed under tower. We wouldn't have got a kill. They would have taken plates top. It's just like that was a very lucky play that made me go basically even. So that was kind of like one of those things that I probably should have like thought about a little more. Oh, hey, that guy's just gonna push into my turret, and he's gonna get a whole bunch of gold for doing so. And then now he's super dominant in the lane. It's like,
Yeah, Fred
just
Darius is a bad Darius. That's a
yeah,
that's a
yeah. And
scared
Darius is
team.
the 1v9 carry champ. So, but like obviously, like you can keep playing to luck, and you know lucky plays happen and quite a few people make mistakes in this game a lot, like especially lower elos, but like as you get higher into the elos and like you start getting an emerald and diamond and well, probably like high emerald, diamond, masters, stuff like that, people start making less mistakes and you're going to have to stop relying on just getting lucky and actually start relying on using the information on the map to make consistent plays to get yourself gold.
That's exactly, I was gonna say, like that is exactly what we're doing here, right? Like I think that map control above all else is what is gonna help you stop making those quote unquote lucky plays. I think that is what is gonna bring consistency to I think a lot of what we're talking about here, like even the things that are more important, right? Like laning phase, like you were talking about, knowing your champ, knowing all that stuff. That is like I think knowing the map allows you to get better at those more crucial things in such a major way. The more you can bring up your consistency and lower your risk, like that is what is going to help you climb. That's what's going to make you better, and that's what's going to give you windows to safely make plays the enemy isn't expecting, to do things that are like maybe against the normal, right? That's because that's what wins games, truthfully. Like in a very twisted sense, if the enemy is good, if they know what they're doing, they're going to be expecting you to do something, and so you need to be able to do something maybe against the the flow a little bit, right?
Yeah,
At least that's kind of
something
my
different.
philosophy of it.
Something a
Yeah,
little
you don't
simpler.
want to play. You don't want to play into
Exactly what they
the
expect, right?
expectation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the
Yeah.
simplest way for me to like put it for people is always just like establishing and finding what's going to win you the game and then finding the tempo to maintain it.
Mm.
Because I think a lot of the times, you know, at least for me, like when I'm playing support, like I'm just like my lane, I know the matchup. We're not going to win this matchup, but this Baron laner up here, he's winning. So I think I'm just going to go help that guy, and that'll help us get ahead in the game and getting this person fed. Because if my jungler isn't ganking me or he's trying to gank me and we're not winning, and the enemy jungler just keeps camping us, then there's nothing to gain from being there. So a lot of the times too, it's about looking. I think about what are they doing, and then okay, what can we do on the opposite side of the map? If we don't need to go fight them, if they're taking a tower, that means that there's two other towers that we can take right now on their side of the map because there's 3, 4 people down there. So it's a lot of the times like having patience to like farm and then see that play out. So
Yeah.
For sure. I guess I'll go ahead and just say there's a lot more things and like maybe habits that you'll build as a Wild Rift player, and as you start playing more and more, you'll start seeing patterns and seeing things happen, and everyone's got their own thing. Like if you go talk to someone who you haven't played with, like they'll be like, oh, I always look for this, or I always do this, and it just kind of like everyone's got kind of their own thing that they look for. And as far as like lane specific things, like as a jungler, the biggest thing I can tell you if you're a jungle main for gathering information is taking scanner for ganks, because that's going to tell you where their wards are. Even if you go and you step on wards, if you clear their wards, they're not going to have any vision in that area for the next time, assuming that they don't put things back right. But like taking scanner whenever you're going down the rivers and stuff, being able to like kind of hide your movements from the enemy is going to be very helpful as far as getting successful ganks, being able to move around the map without getting jumped on, stuff like that. But then also like I said before, looking while you're at your downtime, whenever you have low actions. So like if you're just auto attacking, like literally you just push the auto attack button and your champion will just sit there and auto attack the whole time. You don't have to really do anything. And at that point, you can literally just like look around the map and look for things. Other than that, just like keep an eye on when the objectives are up, and don't use both of your smites right before an objective.
That's usually ideal.
Like,
but I need that blue buff.
I have done that. Like, it never feels good to do that as a jungler. Like, you feel like you're letting your team down. Oh, we've got a gap, but my smite is on cooldown for the next 20 seconds. Like, I hope the enemy jungler doesn't show up and just smite this thing or something like that. So just like, that's something that can help with just like map awareness and stuff like that. But other than that, do you guys have anything for maybe like the lanes that you guys play that you guys would?
I just want to touch on jungle real quick. So, I mean, I that's primarily the role I've played this season, but of course I've played a lot of Baron lane. I have a lot of insight to share there too, but I think jungle actually has the hardest time, right? Their whole job is the map. If your jungler is controlling the map, they're generally controlling the game, which means you're probably winning the game. So it can be tough, right? Support mid, they also have to really look at the map, because to Bonsai's point, if your ADC is getting run over, what's the point of staying with them? Generally, there's another person carrying and they need your help. But as jungler, and I'll just give a specific scenario, knowing like where the enemy jungler is going to be is so critical. I literally was like, I'm up against a Vi. All Vi wants to do is gank. My enemy or my lane is overextended. I guarantee you, if I sit right here, I know Vi is going to walk down the river.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, is Vi going to walk down this river? She is. So what did I do? I instantly went to Krugs, cleared Krugs while I know she's coming from mid. She walks right into the mouth of the river at the end near bottom lane. I instantly just blew her up. Her team saw her coming. They went full engage. We killed Vi and we killed their bot lane. Like, easy.
Yeah.
Counter gank's huge. And that's a big thing for roaming mids too. But jungler, like if you're jungling, you want to know where the enemy jungler is. And to Bonsai's point too, it's like, look at who you're matched up against. Like, they probably are going to clear red. They're probably going to go try and gank if they can. Or I love when people walk on my blue buff. Oh, he's on my blue buff. Like, I'll drop these chickens right now to go kill that fool on my blue buff. I just need mid to come. And if me and mid come, that's a kill and an assist to give up chickens. Yo, I'm down.
That's really funny. He said, I'm going to drop these chickens right now.
That's right. Bro, you don't have to ping me more than once. I'm on the way. Leave the chickens behind. Let's talk about Baron lane real fast while I'm speaking, because I'll go on forever. Baron lane. So obviously,
wait. I want to ask you. I think this is fair. What 3 champions would you play in jungle right now in this meta?
I've been playing.
What would you say are like the most dominant champions for you right now? That's good to know. Like
a lot of Xin Zhao. I don't think he's like top of the pick list in terms of most people's like tier list, but I think he's great. Itemization's not too hard. Runes don't ever really need to change, and like he's got great like all in. So I like him. If I know my team's just like gonna be a scaling team, and if they're gonna play safe, I'll play Shyvana. Easy champ to pilot, right? Super quick clear speeds. Great, just a
team
great
fighting.
champ in general, right? Like in a great spot. I've been trying to play Olaf. My biggest thing with Olaf is learning like I can't just like press ult and think like I'm gonna come out alive all the time. But Olaf, another great champ to pick up, like great into really heavy CC comps. And he just like blows people up, you know. So those are some good ones. I love Vi too. Vi is great. I'm not big into
strong.
Vi is great.
Yeah.
Definitely a favorite of mine. So those are some of them. Oh my gosh, Rammus.
The Rammus.
Rammus into the right comp though.
I've been thinking about it. It's like if there's like it's either do you want to clear jungle fast and gank, or are you gonna have to clear jungle and farm?
Right.
It's like those are the two questions that you ask yourself when you pick a jungle now. And then it's like, and then I think that you just like have to have one of each for each situation. You know.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, you have to be able to, you have to know like your comp is okay. Like my comp needs like, maybe my comp needs a tank who's going to all in, like who's easy. Nunu. I was right. I got decent clear speed, got great ganks, like, and I kind of get heavy later. Yeah. It's like, that's an easy champ to pilot, right? I mean, you literally just face roll.
Yeah.
And that's his whole thing. So, you gotta have options. You can't just like go all in on the assassins and think it's gonna always work out. BAR0N lane real quick. So obviously the lane people mostly refer to as an island. Ever since they brought Hullbreaker in, I think it's obviously you're either playing BAR0N lane to split push, or you're playing to build an advantage you can then transfer across the map. I think you basically have to make that conscious decision based off like what the other team looks like. But whenever I'm setting up, I always like to ward blue if I can, right? I'll go over and ward blue, or if I know the enemy laner is going to do something like sit in a bush where I know they are, and place a ward, like I'll just save a pink and you can clear their ward. Especially if you're a lane, a champ that has a lot of like lane agency, right? It's like they're not beating me in this matchup. Like they're going to be pressed up, probably away from the ward, easy to defend my ward. So I can place a pink. But generally, the things I'm looking for are, did I just engage in like an early fight? So like either level 1 to level 3. Some people think they can win these fights. I don't know why they think they can. But if you take them and you started topside, you know the enemy jungler likely started red. If you're not going to back, I guarantee you're going to die. So, you know, that's one of the things I look for is like, I always have my ward out, and then it's like, I want to take this fight, but I can't necessarily do it without dying myself. And at that point, is it worth it to give their jungler an advantage? Probably not. So I'm always looking for that. Because BAR0N lane is centered around Rift Herald, I like to contribute to the scuttle when I can. I like to make sure that I'm there for scuttle fights if I need to be. Scuttle's a big point of vision that also gives you movement speed when you're outside of combat. So if you are looking to not split push, it's great to have scuttle because you can get to mid really quickly and get to dragon if you need to. It helps. One of the things I do a lot as BAR0N lane is, especially if I'm winning the lane, there are times you just have to cover mid. You just do. Mid is the shortest lane in the game. It's always going to have a wave going down it. And if your team has gone to the dragon fight and it's a 4v4 and you've already killed the enemy, or you have priority in your lane, go to mid and get the priority there too. It's just an easy place to press an advantage, right? It's just like, I got advantage in my lane, now we have advantage in mid lane, and then if we're winning, I can go back to top side, or if for not, I can go to the dragon fight and contribute there. But the biggest thing is if you are going to split push, you need to know where the enemy team is. If the map is dark and you don't see anybody and you're by yourself, they're probably coming to kill you. But if you see that they're all somewhere else, you're generally pretty safe. Can you continue your split push? And again, like this could be like, a lot of people like to push really deep. Sometimes you don't need to push super deep. You can literally just push as far as reasonably possible and set up vision and then get back safely. It doesn't always have to be like sheer gold advantage or turret advantage. Like your advantage can be setting up or clearing enemy vision.
Mm-hmm.
And a great thing to do is like, if you can, you just blow their scryer on your way out. So now they can't clear your wards. They can't use it to see you if they don't have vision. So those are the kinds of things I'm generally looking at. You generally don't get ganked, but it happens here and there if you're not careful.
Dude, I had a game the other day. I played Scion top into a Garen, and I already knew I was gonna lose that matchup. I never got ganked. Neither of us recalled until one of us recalled.
Whoa,
yeah.
Because I just kept staying, and he would ult me and over and over again. I just wouldn't die. I just kept farming.
I got my shield, bro.
And I was just like, I got my shield. I kill a minion. I gain back the health.
You gave Garen experience. He probably hated that.
And
he probably did.
God, my turret was down to 2,000 something, and then I found an opportunity, and I actually took his turret first.
That's so sick.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I was man, but that Baron lane, it's tough. Dude.
Keeping a Garen in lane, that is so, being stuck in Baron lane ever is so frustrating. Like I can't leave the lane because it means our turret will die.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm itching to get out of this lane.
Somebody gank me.
Someone, please, jungler.
For mid, it is something that is, it feels pretty crucial, right? I mean, you've got a lot of that early game. If your jungler isn't warding super well, I'm speaking from solo queue mindset. There's a lot of fear with the occasional Rift Herald play, because if someone is very intentionally letting you take drag to go for the Rift Herald, usually they're making a pretty good play or communicating with their Baron laner pretty well to do something with that. And we've had some major openings be taken against us in that case. So I usually take yellow. I do something cheeky. Don't do this unless you know what you're like. Please don't do this. Don't follow my example. I almost ward raptors every single time right off the bat. Like I wait in the right bushes, and it works really, really consistently. And then I steal raptors from the enemy jungler every game. It's awesome. But it's
every game.
Most games, I go and steal them, and then they try to gank me, and I'm Ziggs, so I'm just hanging out back under my turret, and they can't get. It's really funny. But the if I don't move to scanner immediately, if I can see that they're really good at, I usually judge it by if they've warded blue. If they've warded or attempted to, I feel like they are someone who's just kind of aggressively warding rather than defensively. So I don't take scanner until about after, maybe when I go back for my first item before when I'm setting up for drag and stuff. That's when I usually take scanner if I'm solo queuing. Because clearing that stuff is important, but I'm just making sure that I'm using my wards super, super effectively leading up to that point. Everything is placed exactly where I want it to be. If I can get one where a scuttler is going to be, that's huge for a jungler if they haven't done it themselves. Even for the Rift Herald, I've noticed if there's a Jax on the team, they half the time they go, whether jungler or not, they're going to go for the Rift Herald. So it's I've dropped him over there in that time. I feel, I don't know. I don't think that this is a weak point in my gameplay, but I do feel like I have a hard time articulating exactly what I do, saying it out loud, what I do for map control and awareness. It just feels more like muscle memory at this point. I don't really know how to talk about it unless I'm in the moment. So it's a little tricky. I will say that I think that the most important thing you can do with mid lane, in my experience, is what I've talked before about. learning it just so you can break it a little bit. Mid lane, you have a lot of freedom, you have a lot of options, a lot of choices to make in terms of who you can affect, whether that's an early jungler fight at a scuttler, helping gank a lane, whatever you need to do. And even into the late game, like you have, especially like I play a lot of control mages, so there's a lot of like team fight potential. And I had a game the other day where I was Ziggs. My team was grouped up pretty well for BAR0N, and I was on my way there, and I saw that we had most of the wave priority. And this, again, don't do this. This was a bad, in solo queue, this was a bad move. I was like, I should not have done that. It worked out, but if you're communicating with your team and you have the vision like we did, a lot of this is available. Like they were semi grouped up for BAR0N. We were more grouped up. We were getting ready. Had about 30 seconds. I had my Ziggs ult up, so I'm like, okay, I can support with that if needed. I can keep an eye, but I know right now that their mid inhibitor is toast. If I can get 1 second ability on that, I can execute it. That can cause them to panic. That can help keep the pressure up with our lane priority that we have. So I went in, iced that, and I had the ADC, the support, and the jungler on me right after I killed it. And I did die, but I got away long. Like I spent time running around. I had flash. I took ghost. I'm just zooming around, wasting these guys' time. And my team's pinging me like crazy, saying horrible things that I couldn't even read in the chat. But they took BAR0N with pretty much no contest. I think it was just their solo laner who like made an attempt. And we got it. We had an inhib down. We got BAR0N. It wasn't the play that won us the game, but it gave us a huge advantage. So again, don't do this exactly. Don't do exactly what I just did, especially solo queue. That was not smart of me to do. But once you have I wouldn't have made a play like that if I hadn't known everyone on the enemy team and where they were at generally. Like I got a glimpse of the support and the jungler near BAR0N. I'm like, okay, chances are most of them are over there. No one's clearing the waves, and our waves are pushing up pretty heavy on their side of the map. So they're probably fairly close to grouping, which means they're also not going to be on this side of the jungle because that objective isn't up. I can get this inhib for free. Like that was a really risky play. If I had died before I had gotten there, we probably would have lost BAR0N and potentially the game. So that's not a consistent play, but I wouldn't have known to even make an attempt like that if I hadn't known map control, if I hadn't known vision, if I hadn't known enemy pathing, things like that. So I guess that's more of a generalist thing rather than a mid thing, but it's just so crucial for making game-winning plays. You got to learn it. If you don't have it down, you got to learn it. What about support? I got to ask, how much is that like... how heavily do you have to be the vision in the early mid game as a support? Like, does ADC consistently do it at all if it's a random? Is it like, no, not at all? Okay, that's good.
I don't really expect anything from my. I don't really expect anything from my ADC.
Yeah.
For me, support. I think the big thing is first like picking 3 champions. One of them, you're a one trick. Like you can play that champion no matter what, and you win games with that champion, and it's your best. And then I think you have 2 more champions that you play after that. One of them should be an enchanter support that's like strong in the meta. Like right now, that could be like Karma, Nami, that could like solo queue really carry games. And then you have one other champion besides your OTP. It doesn't matter if your OTP is enchanter or tank or whatever. You have your OTP, an engage tank of some sort, and an enchanter. And you get those 3 champions. Like go online, go to PC League websites, read about their matchups, like read about their skill sets, what they play good with, what they play good against. Because like that's what I did. Like I went on and I looked the information up and I read it. Once I knew my matchups, then you just like start getting really good at understanding your lane, and that's like a whole big thing because there's understanding wave management, understanding the matchups between the ADCs and the supports, so that you know how to trade properly in lane. Because your ADC is just trying to farm, and like whether they suck at farming or not, you're the only one there that can make an impact. in the lane. So, you know, and if they're just walking up and getting 3 hits from the enemy, it's like you're dead. I'm not. Like I can't tell you how many times I've carried games playing Nami or Karma right now. Like
Mm-hmm.
I just go full AP and just carry the game that way.
Yeah.
So yeah, so picking those 3 champions, engage, support, and an OTP, understanding your lane matchups, and then early game. Right now, early game, you know, you have your quest items, your support quest items that are really strong.
Mhm.
Um, and then I usually just like play safe or play the matchup out in the early game. I take a pink ward to ward defensively. If I'm playing red side, I take a yellow ward to play ward uh, the river or more towards their side if I'm starting from blue side. And then typically around like my first back, depending on whether or not my wave is pushed towards me or towards the enemy, I will go mid or top. And I think like right now it's really strong meta for like support to, especially if they're playing like Nautilus or Nami or Karma, like you have a lot of impact in ganking a lane.
Interesting.
Um, you push your wave up, and then before the first back that you make before Dragon, because typically right before Dragon you're backing, and then you're also making one back before that, I think,
Mm-hmm.
or at least that's what I try to do. You try to look for any like missed rotations or engages that are going on in like mid or top, and then you go play through that. And for objectives, once you start getting the first objective for support, right now I've just been pinging Rift Herald. Like I really don't, unless it's Infernal Dragon, I really don't care about the Rift Herald. My playstyle has been trying to go for Rift Herald and then getting either mid or Baron lane open, so that then I can go back to bot lane because typically right now, bot lane isn't taken or dual lane isn't taken first. It's usually mid or Baron that get first
Mhm.
Rift Herald. So I usually like make sure that at least 10 seconds or as soon as dragon spawns, like I'm rotating around on the map already. And then I just kind of stay mid for the mid game, between mid and top, or between mid and bot, depending on what objective, what towers we need to take next. And I
Mm.
just kind of usually follow the jungler around because that's you and him are the only ones that can really roam around and not be punished for not staying in lane and farming. And I watch to see what my ADC does. If they do a good job in lane, then I hang out with them a little bit more. if they do a bad if they
Yeah,
do a
man.
bad job in lane, then I'm like, you want to keep pushing bot to try to take that turret? That's cool, man. We're taking like 2 turrets up here. I'm gonna go do that.
Yeah.
You keep farming. Um, and then yeah, that's pretty much it. But I definitely like early game. I just focus on like playing out the first couple waves and watching for jungle pathing. Make sure that I'm warded so that I know whether or not I can engage or I have to back off. Mid game, I look for more opportunities with the jungler, and I try to ping as much as possible using my knowledge of the game and my map awareness.
Mm.
I have a really bad habit of getting radar or wards and then forgetting that like they've the timers have refreshed so I can swap them out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I would say that's probably the biggest thing like to keep working on because I keep working on it all the time is just remembering to swap out, always warding like where they're coming from, not where they're going to be at. That's always like a good mentality. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, bot lane is whether you're playing ADC or support, there's 4 people down there, and then the
Yeah.
jungler comes, and you're like, okay, we're just
It's
the
a
whole
party.
team's here. It's a party.
Yeah.
What are we gonna do? So I think that's why typically like I'm seeing a lot, at least in higher eler or more competitive, like I'm seeing plays towards the BAR0N side of the map because there's more kill potential in the early game power spikes for those champions, unless you're playing like Varus, Thresh, or Lucian Nami bot lane where you're just like insta kill lane. So
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Nami, Lucian.
it's
Right.
Imperial Mandate. Like I love playing Nami before, and these days I've just been like, I really don't want to be a Nami one trick, but like I will do it if that's what it takes.
Mm,
If
it's
that's what
free.
it takes to get to GM, I will do this.
It's
And I
free.
just build right now I'm building Luden's Echo first item and then
Oh,
getting
really?
Rylai's. I'm just yeah. I think the other day I had a game where I got 3 kills off of wave bounce
Oh my
3
Dang.
separate
gosh.
times. I would heal my ally to kill my enemy.
That's so sick. That's so dope.
That's
good
so
time.
gross.
I love that.
Yeah, champ's broken.
Yeah, Champ's in a good spot.
All right. Well, I think that'll about do it. Thanks everyone for coming out. This has been actually really fun to just sit down and talk with, obviously y'all, and then Bonsai this week as well. Just like super.
I want to
fun.
give a shout out to NXGL.
Yeah, where can everybody
Uh,
find you? Where should they check out all your guys' stuff?
There's a link tree that I sent you guys that has everything: Twitter, YouTube, Discord, all that stuff. We're a semi-pro kind of amateur team that's trying to make it here in NA. We competed in Team Liquid and we're competing in Rift Masters right now, and
Very
we'll be
cool.
competing for the regional tournament hopefully next year to see
Oh,
where we can place
awesome.
in top NA. NXGL as a community Discord too that pretty active. There's a lot of great players there and a lot of valuable knowledge going around. So make sure to check that out. And then the YouTube channel, you can always go into the community server and post your top plays for a chance to get put on our top
oh,
5
that's
plays
dope.
Very
of the
cool.
week for NXG.
I
Yeah,
got some clips.
Um,
I'll jump in. I'll send you guys
yeah,
some
man,
stuff.
Yeah, man.
it's really fun. The Aggro is the organization owner, and he kind of started this project all on his own. And the team that I coach now for them, we kind of approached the organization as a whole to sponsor us, and it's been a great run. So you can watch us on Twitch this weekend playing Rift Masters.
Very cool. Rift,
Sick,
is it
yeah.
league run that tourney?
Hmm?
Is it Riot
It's
who's doing that tourney?
and it's not officially Riot
Okay,
promoted, but it in one way or another Riot has its hand in it. I'm sure.
but it's on your guys' Twitch, right?
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah. No, it'll be on the Rift Masters Twitch.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense. Sweet.
Yeah.
That'll be
So
really
it's all
cool.
part of the global wild circuit tournaments that are going on right now. So each region
Right.
has their own group of tournaments that they play out for the next couple months.
That's so
Yeah.
sick.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's super fun. I love doing it.
Yeah,
That would
everyone
be
go
really
check that
fun.
out for sure. You can catch Starbuck. We'll just say this: if you're on video, right under his banner, you can catch me on Twitter right under my banner. I don't have a whole lot to say, and you can catch Bonsai NXGL and go wish Fiasco happy birthday on Discord. And with that, I think we'll close it out. Thanks guys, and let's get on the riff. I'm ready.
Yeah.
Amen.
Thanks.